the world is not controlled by the people that appear to control it.
Yeah.
If you have surrounded yourself with no-go areas which you won't research and won't explore, they gotcha. Events are being manipulated to make it seem like biblical prophecies are coming true. You know, I've always worked on the basis since my mind explosion opening that if you think you've got it in terms of I can see what's happening, then you haven't. Because, you know, when you realize that everything that we see is within a tiny band of frequency, visible light, and therefore the infinity beyond it we can't see, then what that does, if you've got any intelligence at all, is it brings you into a state of humility. Where you know that one thing that you cannot challenge is the fact that whatever we think we know, there's always more to know. And so that perception drives you deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole, because you are aware that whatever you know or think you know, there's always more to know. So the question is always, okay, I think I've got this level of it, or at least you know, a lot of detail about what don't I know. And it's like Socrates in ancient Greece is supposed to have said that to know is to know you know nothing. Wisdom is knowing how little we know. And what I've seen, for instance, in the alternative media, which has regressed dramatically since the COVID hoax, in my view, at least the central core of it has, is it's coagulated around the idea that it does know. And that is basically Christian-infused right-wing politics, which is all around Trump and Musk. That's now become the alternative media mainstream. And it's a joke for me. It's an unfunny joke because I think it's very dangerous, because it's so limiting and so myopic. It doesn't understand what the scale of what's actually going on. But it's pulling lots of people in to believe that, you know, Trump's the savior.
Well, I watched your Delling poll, and I thought that was fascinating, because Delling poll obviously he's got a profile, he's got a lot of followers, and everything about his approach to his interaction with you seemed indicative of what's wrong with the truth movement.
Exactly.
He was fixed in his opinion. He was emotionally triggered by what you were saying, because it didn't fit within his mental creation, that his Christian sort of worldview, and I think that is a big problem with the truth movement at the moment.
Massive. Delling poll actually that night was you're right to raise it, because it was a classic example of everything that's wrong with what they call the truth movement. Because the big problem with the truth movement is it doesn't want the truth. It wants its truth, which is not the same thing. And it has regressed. I mean, there was no truth movement. There was no alternative media. For a long time after I started out, there was just a few disparate individuals putting out stuff to next to nobody. You know, there was no internet even when we started.
And then 9/11, I think, was the big thing that brought some kind of movement together, didn't it?
Yeah, that was a big factor in starting to develop. And no one was more delighted than me. I mean, my attitude is the more people that are putting this information out, the better. But since COVID, which had enormous potential to awaken a lot of people to at least the level of understanding that those that appear to be controlling the world are not the ones controlling it. And a lot of people did wake up as a result. And, you know, you look at what I call this global cult, this global network of secret societies that's driving the direction of the world to more and more dystopia, centralization of power. And, you know, the COVID thing was a big step on that road, but they would have known, because they are stupid, idiots, morons, buffoons from a big picture point of view, because they wouldn't do what they're doing if they weren't.
Yeah.
But what they are is brilliant and very, very clever at manipulating perception, thus behavior, and predicting that if you provide stimulus A, you're going to get mass public reaction B. So they would have known from that, on that basis, that a lot of people were going to be consumed by the COVID hoax, but a very significant number were going to be awakened by it. So you look at it and you think, well, we can't put the genie back in the bottle totally, because too many people have seen too much.
Yeah.
But what we can do is we can stop it getting out anymore. And what's happened with the alternative media is lots of people came out of the mainstream into the alternative media. Russell Brand, Tucker Carlson, to a large extent, Joe Rogan, who's a mate of Elon Musk. And they've coagulated around the Trump phenomenon. Basically, it's right-wing Christianity or versions of one or the other or both in terms of brand. And they have focused attention upon Trump and Musk, and the answer is a different kind of politics, when politics is part of the problem. But what politics is there for is to persuade billions of people who collectively could bring this house of cards down overnight through non-cooperation with their own enslavement. They are manipulated to give their power away for 4 or 5 years at a time to some party or some individual. And then they do what they like for the next 4 or 5 years until you get another chance to pick another fake savior. And so what's happened is the alternative media has regressed from the understanding before that we live in one-party states and you've got the right and the left, but if you go back in the shadows, they're controlled by the same force, to left bad, right good. And it's
well, that's probably because that is for the first time in modern history that we've been given that superficial hope, isn't it? That something seems like it's shifting away from that there is a move perhaps towards a more libertarian freedom mind that it, it hints at, but like you say, it's a sort of Trojan horse in a way.
Hope is a very powerful manipulative tool.
Yeah.
Because hope, by definition, is always in the future. It's never in the now.
Yeah.
So you get people to accept things now in the hope that they're going to get better. But the hope is like a carousel horse. Doesn't matter how fast the carousel spins, you don't get any closer to the horse in front.
Yeah.
Hope's always in the future. They have something in this global cult network that I call designer manipulation. So if you are trying to get to a particular outcome, then it's no good using the same manipulative techniques and the same approach on everybody, because you'll get some and you'll get nowhere with it with others. So you change the rhetoric and you change the excuses to fit the mentality you're trying to manipulate and pull on board. So if you look at the main, above all else, the main goal of this cult is the fusion of artificial intelligence and humans. In the words of Ray Kurzweil, the Google executive and so-called futurist, said some years ago, by 2030, humans will be connected to artificial intelligence, and then artificial intelligence from that point will do more and more of human thinking until human thinking is negligible. What he means is deleted. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you see, you don't have to manipulate information to control perception. Because we get our perceptions from the information we receive, personal experiences, 10 o'clock news, Facebook posts, whatever. And if you can control that information, you're going to massively control the perceptions that people have, especially if you keep out of the public arena as best you can through censorship, information that will get people to have a different perception. And from perception comes behavior. So if you want behavior control, you want perception control, you want information control. But once you have this connection to artificial intelligence, you don't need to manipulate information anymore, because people are getting their thoughts and their emotional responses from artificial intelligence. That's the idea, that's the goal, that's the dream of this whole conspiracy. So if you look at the left, which is not really the left, I mean, I grew up in the left in politics on the council estate in Leicester. It's the woke left, which is not the same thing. They basically, enormous numbers of them have grown up in this technological age. Others have kind of bought into it as well. And so they are very open to the hard sell of human AI fusion, which is, as in Kurzweil's words, it will make us gods, it will make us superhuman. And so you use the hard sell of the Schwabs and the Gateses to approach that mentality. Will make us gods. More and more advances in technology. Oh yeah, what's the latest? I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm going to get the latest iApple thing and all that stuff. But on the other side, in what's called the right, and the Christian right, you have people who are very skeptical about all that and very wary of the control potential of AI. So you don't approach them in the same way you approach them. What you do is you have a guy who I've been tracking, like I say, for many, many years, called Elon Musk. And he's ticking all the boxes of this agenda through the autonomous cars of Tesla and the brain chipping of Neuralink and the low orbit satellites of SpaceX. Because what Ray Kurzweil said is humans will be connected by 2030 to the cloud via AI. And the cloud is an electromagnetically, technologically generated field, which is coming out of the 5G towers, the 4G towers, the 6G, 7G towers to come. But you can't create a global cloud of electromagnetic, an electromagnetic field that hits every inch of the planet from towers. You have to do it from space, from low orbit satellites particularly. And SpaceX is by far the biggest, the leader in putting up thousands of low orbit satellites, tens of thousands on the way. And that permission is being given to him by the Federal Communications Commission in America, the FCC. And as Trump has been picking his, quote, government for after January of 2025, he's picked as head of the FCC a big, big supporter of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So Musk is going to get what he bloody likes. And so what Musk did, because the thing to understand about this global cult is it plays the long game. He doesn't make it up as it goes along. It might react to things that it wasn't expecting, although there ain't much that it's not expecting anymore. But it plays the long game. It will do something here, knowing that the real reason for that is here. Mm-hmm. This is why people like Aldous Huxley in Brave New World could predict technology like artificial womb technology that's now coming online. And he wrote that book it came out in 1932. You had George Orwell talking about the telescreens and other forms of technological control in 1984, which was published in 1948, which now we have in the form of smart TVs, etc., which are really, there's a lot more in terms of that to come. Because this cult has one world, its world, and then you have the population's world. And in the world of the cult, very advanced information, technological information, the nature of reality information, where the world's being taken information, is passed on through the inner core, not Bill and Joe down the lodge, the inner core of this cult through the generations, which is why people like Aldous Huxley could know about technology back here that's now coming in. Yeah. Right? And what's also happened is that this cult has created the forms of communication through which the population gets its information. So it created the education system, which is a programming system. Look at America, that came out of the Rockefellers. And it owns the mainstream media. And it's got control now of significant tracts of the so-called alternative media that isn't. And so what you've got is advanced information being passed over through the cult network about so many things, not least the nature of reality. And then you've got the suppression of knowledge and the holding the line of knowledge that gets to the public arena. And when people like me come along and uncover what they know and tell the population how they're manipulating, the population in general will say, you're crazy, you're mad, that's ridiculous, because they confuse their perception of technological limitation with actual technological limitation, and they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
But then more and more people are waking up to the fact that actually maybe I should open my mind and realize that actually what I dismiss is more obviously happening. So what you need is a figure who or figures that can sell to this skeptical about AI and AI human fusion and AI control arena. I mean, 75 million people are supposed to have voted for Trump this time and previous times, pretty much the same. And that was Elon Musk. So like I say, they play the long game. So if you go back a few years, Elon Musk came out and said AI could be the end of humanity. As we know it, that's true. But what he's done ever since is roll out more and more AI. And what you've seen, totally predictable, is since he became part of the Trump administration, not by accident, totally by design, long planned, he has become a greater and greater, more blatant promoter of artificial intelligence. You see his machine gun fire posts on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know how he finds the time when he claims that 80% of his time is done in engineering and design. Load of rubbish. He's not running his companies any more than bloody I am. He's a front man. That's what he is. He's a sales pitcher, a salesman. And so what he has said, first of all, AI could be the end of humanity. So actually, you skeptics, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm on your side. I see it. But what he's saying is, AI getting more and more intelligent is inevitable. Now, inevitability, if you can sell it, is a very powerful perceptual weapon, because you've got, say, a group of people and they don't want something. So they're resisting it. They're pushing back on it. You convince them that what they're pushing back on and what they don't want is inevitable, and you go into a completely different mentality where now it's not about stopping it, it's about mitigating its impact. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what Musk has done. And so what he says is, because AI getting more and more intelligent is inevitable, if humans don't fuse with AI, then humans are basically going to die out. So then you take a breath, you drop the cognitive dissonance, which is a human disease, and you look at the outcome of both the hard sell and the Musk soft sell. And it's both human fusion with AI, but targeting different mentalities in different ways and through different rhetoric. So when Musk bought Twitter, well, he didn't. He was allowed to buy it. And, you look at the shareholders of the holding company of Twitter, and you're talking about the Qataris and the Saudi Arabians and, real people that really care about free speech, But he was allowed to buy it. How do I know that? Well, because he's telling us, it was clear with Twitter before Musk that you could not post certain things on there because they would not be allowed on. They'd get taken down, and if you posted enough of them, you'd be taken down. When he bought it, he released these so-called Twitter files through a guy called Michael Schellenberger, who I have enormous reservations about, to say the least. And he released these files to show that the so-called deep state controlled before him what was allowed and what was not allowed on Twitter.
Yeah.
So you say to people, okay, so what you're telling me, and it's true, what you're telling me is before Musk bought Twitter, the deep state controlled what went on Twitter. Yeah, absolutely, mate. So then the question comes, why did they sell it to him then? Why did they sell it to a so-called, he's not, free speech absolutist? Makes no sense whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So then you look at the impact. And what's happened is that he is fronting up all these companies that are ticking the box of the agenda, SpaceX, low orbit satellites creating the cloud, Neuralink, brain chipping, connecting to computers, and autonomous cars where the computer dictates where you can and cannot go through Tesla, so on and so forth. And before he bought Twitter, there were, so we say, more people within the alternative arena that were pointing this out. Hey, look, this guy's pushing us towards transhumanism, right? And this fusion of humans and AI. So before he bought Twitter, there were more people within the alternative media who were pointing out that Musk was pushing us towards this transhumanist agenda, this AI human fusion. But since he bought Twitter and allowed people back on, that's stopped. It hasn't stopped in the genuine alternative media that operates outside of the mainstream hijacked alternative media since COVID. But in that central core that gets all the algorithmic support, all the promotion, all the funding, and people like Alex Jones has been pulled into that group big time. I mean, he's become like a puppy dog to Musk. It's embarrassing, frankly.
Yeah.
And
do you think he's?
I've known Alex for a long time. I've only met him once, but I've been on his show quite a few times. And he was very dismissive of me for a lot of years, and dismissed a lot of things I said that he's now agreeing are true.
Yeah.
But we didn't agree on lots of things, but on the main themes we kind of did. But he's just become an embarrassing Trump groupie now, to be honest.
He has, yeah.
I mean, really, it's very, very dangerous and very sad because he's putting a lot of people in with it to eulogize this guy Musk, who is just unbelievably shafting everybody without them being able to see it. But Musk is now pushing this agenda, more and more of this whole AI control system, and he's getting no pushback whatsoever from that mainstream.
Yeah.
And it's very, very sad, and it's very dangerous. But there are people, and more people now. I mean, every time I post about the Musk-Trump agenda, and I've been doing it now for well over a year, you get enormous amounts of abuse. And you're going to get it when you say it, because, one of the biggest, most powerful mind manipulation techniques is telling people what they want to hear. Because when you tell people what they want to hear, the door is swinging open for you, because they want it to be true. So they want to believe that Musk and Trump are the saviors, and they're going to sort it out. They want to believe it. When you're telling people what they don't want to hear, this is what I've done for the 35 years, basically. And I don't want any of this to be true either, just the fact that it is. And so why are we hiding from it? The door to you is slammed shut because they don't want it to be true. And I do understand that, but it's blatantly so. And so we have this situation where Musk is now on the inside of the Trump government, pushing an AI agenda, and around him and around Trump is this group of AI fusion billionaires like Peter Thiel and Mark Andreessen. Mark Andreessen, who blocked me on Twitter X for no reason. I never even mentioned him on Twitter X, but he blocked me anyway. And they're pushing this agenda. And, Peter Thiel is the political funder of J.D. Vance, the vice president upcoming with Trump. He's a